Alright, so after grooming, we're actually gonna convert those back to curve again. Okay. So one of the ways we can do is go grab this description here. We're gonna go for this description cache and create new cache, and then we're gonna save it as hair curve or hair cache, whatever you want to call it, and just use current frame instead of time slider because we don't need the animation. So and save it. Oh, make sure you check those two checkers. Multiple transform so that they're separated into different hair strands, and red final width so that it kind of remembers the width, I guess. And just use Ogawa and then create. That's gonna export the hair as curves. So now I can safely go ahead and delete both descriptions. Go for edit, delete, so they're gone. And then we go file import to import that hair curve we exported. So hair curves, right? That's the one we did. Oops, not. Let's go to the data modifier, modified. Not even in here. Maybe it was in the scene. Yeah, it's here. Okay, let's import it. You can see it becomes hair curves again. Now that's what we need in order to use HairWorks. So next step will be grab. Oh, let's go ahead and also clean that out by deleting the namespace. It's gonna be window, general editors, namespace editor. Go there and delete the namespace so that we have simple names. I'm gonna call this hair curves. Okay. And then we can grab the head, go to HairWork and create HairWork. That's gonna make it a HairWork geometry, and you grab the curves. Oops, sorry. Go hit on the HairWork again. You actually have to click on these pick guides and then you click on the group of the curves. So it's gonna go highlight the hair again and go back, and that's done. Okay, now finally go create some collider by adding a collider here and choose a joint for it. So our joint will be this guy, which is, let's see, next 01. So I'm gonna grab next 01. Make sure we click here back. Next 0, sorry, hat 01 should be the one. And then when I hit OK. That's gonna convert that or add a sphere underneath that. If you go to 4 button and take a look, right, we have a collider created there. I'm gonna change the radius by holding down Control and middle mouse button and drag this to make it bigger. Sometimes it doesn't update. Let me try that again. It's not a very stable plugin sometimes. Like, oh, I have to select it, I guess. Select it. Or not very conventional. I think a lot of operations here is a little weird. But yeah, I just select it and then drag the radius to change the size and then move it up by using, again, the direction of the axis are wrong. So Y is going forward and back, X is up and down, Z is left and right. So yeah, it's different. So let's make it big enough so that it can actually collide with or encapsulate the entire head, more or less. Big enough to collide or push the head, the hair around it. Okay. So that's gonna be the setup, and then after that, make sure that you only have those things. Go File, Export All, so that we can have everything, and we can use the format as HairWorks, and then make sure that you don't change anything here. And let's save it as Hair Apex. Okay, Export All, and then yes, and then we're gonna go for File, Export, Selection one more time, but not selection, sorry. Export all one more time. This time we're going to use a FBX right away. So hair FBX. And by this time, make sure that you have underneath the geometry tangent and normals, smooth mesh, refresh, referenced asset content, smoothing group. Make sure that you have animation and then animation baked. I have that hat going left and right, up and down animation, and also bake animation right? That should be it. So I'm gonna export this and then yes to override my previous one. Okay. All right, that's gonna be the step we do here to export the files from Maya. From now on, we don't need Maya anymore. But before we move on to HairWorks, let's actually go to the Unreal Engine, and the process that is in the setup should be done already. We go to the generate project files, this one here, and double click. This is going to take a few seconds. When it's done, it's going to create a Visual Studio solution. Let's double click on it to open it. Make sure that you're using you use 2017. It's the requirement from their documentation, and that's gonna spend some time to read the project. So this is gonna take a while. We're gonna let it run, and then whoops, still running, but as you can see, it's trying to parse them out of files. It's a lot of files, right? Because it's a big open source project. Anyway, so let's let it run here for a while, and let's move on to the downloads, and then go to the HairWorks. Go to HairWorks, right? We're gonna go for the bin folder, Windows 64. And open that folder viewer. Okay, this is gonna be the place that we can tweak the hair. The navigation is exactly like Maya, so you don't have to worry about that. Go to File and open the FBX file to open the FBX we exported. So I'm gonna go there. In 2018, so I'm gonna load the hair FBX, open that. That's gonna be the head only, as you can see. If we can really take a look at it, it's gonna be far on the top. Yeah, so that's the head, and we're also gonna load in the hair. That's gonna be underneath HairWorks, and open the Hiar file. It's gonna be the other one that we saved. Make sure that those two are not having the same name. Now you open that, you can see now our Hiar is being imported. To change the lighting, you can hold down Control and left mouse drag to rotate it. That's the key light. You also go to the settings, and in the light section you can turn on the fill light by enabling it. You can Control drag to change the fill light, I believe. Yeah. And you can also turn on the rim light just to have a little bit more fun with all these things. Right, so now we have a rim light. Hair appears to be messy, and it's also white. So let's go to the hair section, do some changing of the shading here. Go all the way down to the graphic part. We're going to change the root color and the tip color to something a little bit more unconventional, just to have some fun with it. Okay, and then we can go to tweak some physical properties here. Oh, and also you can click on the play to see the animation and see how everything works. Maybe I deleted too much hair over there. Anyway, so we're gonna go change some of the physical properties underneath physical. We can go to the stiffness and make the stiffness go up so that they're not really going down that much. Okay, we can also tell them to actually respect the collision by turn on the capsule collision. And turn on the collision capsules, and you can see that's our capsule, right? The sphere we created in Maya. And we can also drag the backdrop all the way up to 1 to really try to prevent it from going in. Okay. I think this is hard to see. I'm going to change the hair color to something easier to see. You know, maybe that's because of the lighting. I'm going to go to the settings and turn off the rim light. This one is too much. And maybe even the fill light, so that we just have one light. It's easier to see stuff. Turn on the fill light, maybe just make it weaker. And maybe we have the environment lighting, turn that on. Right. To have some environment lighting, and maybe lower down that guy's intensity, so that some lighting that is easier to see stuff. Okay. Alright. So let's go back to hair, and we can do some tweaking here, like do some more tweaking, like the style wise, right? Or let's actually do the physical thing, finish that here first. The mask scale is how heavy they are. If that's lower, then they will not be that easy to fall down. It's negative, so they're going up. So I'm gonna change that to 0.5, so it's not like super weight, super heavy. You can see they're being moved a little bit more. Okay, I can add a few dumping, also 0.5, so they're not like, oops, that's too much. 0.2. So I want to prevent them from going too crazy when my head moves. Alright. And also for general options, the spline multiplier will be defining like the quality or the resolution, more or less, of the spline being generated. And change that to 8, and that's going to give us a smoother hair strands, as you can see now. You don't want to go overboard because we want to eventually put this for in-game engine, right? You don't want it to be too smooth. Did I change it? I actually didn't change, so let me change that to 8. Let me stop the animation maybe. Oh, that's the highest I can go actually. So yeah, wow. This limitation is limitation, right? This is a game engine, a graphic card. So a lot of things may not as advanced or as detailed as what we can do with movie level production. So yeah, let's just keep it that way. So I don't need to see the capsule. I'm gonna make the mask maybe a little bit higher and lesser damping, and for the stiffness go down a little bit more, so the hairstyle feels a little bit more fluid, or not hairstyle but movement. The root can have a little bit more, right? So I'm gonna crack that up so it's not moving the root that much, and then the tip can have much less, right? That's good. Now let's go to the hair volume, the style part. We can actually change the density, which is how much hair we have. One is probably good. We don't need to have too much, but let me double it and take a look how that feels like. It's okay. I'm gonna go change the root scale, which is the size of the root, to something lower, and so goes the tip to go all the way to 0, so that the hair feels more natural. Or I can bring the global width down to some level that does feels more like hair. Stop the animation. A little bit more on the tip. Don't want it to be all the way disappear. Alright, now it feels good. Give it some noise so that the width changes on every individual one. Clumping is probably one of the important things. You want to have clumping so that the hair feels more like different clumps of hairs instead of, you know, all different kind of like individual hairs that just parallel to each other. A little bit clumping helps a lot. Okay, and then roundness is kind of like the shape of the clumping. As you can see the change here. And we can have a little bit of noise here too. Okay. And here the length, of course, is one of the important things. You can make them smaller, cut them in like that. And when it comes to the lens scale, you can also add noise, or you can also use texture. All those things that with the texture there, that's going to be something we can utilize, right? We can use texture to define enough variation so it's not like looking super generic. Okay, like this now. And if you look at this, yeah, probably our GAT is not that good. We have a GAT going up like that. It's not looking very natural either. So grooming is hard, and it's also sometimes like a back and forth process. Like I really wanted to go ahead and cut more there now. Especially here, it doesn't feel like it's doing much. Okay, so the roundness could help. So we probably need to go ahead and go back and tweak the length of the guide curves on the side. I want to clip them in almost to, you know, very small, so that's not what I want, but yeah. That's another problem of all those workflows except Xgen, which is you're working bland because you don't see the hair when you're doing guides. Right? That's gonna be a big problem. You go here and take a look, it's not good. Go back and tweak the guide. Go back and put the hair on, take a look at it again. It's not gonna be good. Fix it again. So this is the painful workflow. When it comes to things like this, not having the feedback of the final results is a common illness of the production pipeline. I think it happens not on hair production, it happens on texturing, it happens on, you know, simulation, because you just don't know how it looks like. All you can rely on is like instinct and experience. Now that's really ugly. Anyway, so with those being tweaked, let's actually stop this. And one more thing I want to go over is back to here. This should be ready now, right? This is Visual Studio. We go to build and then build solution, or you right click here and say build. This should be the same thing, and that's going to go through the process and compile every line of code and put them together, link all the objects, and then it's going to create the Unreal Engine, and we can then go run it. Okay, so this is going to take a while too. Meanwhile, you can maybe go back to Maya and refine your guidelines, and then after some time around 20 to 40 minutes, when this is done, you can go back and open the Unreal Engine. We're going to put the files into Unreal Engine. Okay, so thanks for watching. See you next time.